Hi guys, so today I wanted to talk again about atheism, and I've watched a lot of videos recently on YouTube from atheist YouTubers, and they've had some really good points, and it got me thinking as well. If you've watched some of my earlier videos, you would know, I grew up in a Catholic household, I went to a Christian school, I had the Bible basically shoved down my throat. And I'm not a Christian. Everyone who knows me knows that. People stopped arguing with me about this point because they know there's no point in it. But I think people have said to me, why don't you just, to make your family happy or to make your friends happy, why don't you just go to church? Why don't you just say that you're a Christian? And then you won't have these debates. And it's quite simply put, one, I wouldn't be myself if I did. And two, I think, and this is not every Christian, I'm just going to put a disclaimer there, this is definitely not every Christian. I've got some really good friends who are Christians and they definitely do not think like this. But I think religion in itself, so Christianity in itself, is harmful. And I'm going to get into that and my reasons for that. So if you read the Bible, there's a lot of stuff that is just not on. There is rape, there is incest, there is God who is apparently a good God, Eve ate the fruit of knowledge, because you don't want women to have knowledge or anyone to have knowledge, and then she, God said, you've committed sin now, and everyone who's ever going to be born will go to hell, basically. And then, Jesus was born, whatever, and he gave his life, but only if you believed in him and accepted God. Now, a good person, or a good God, or anyone that we see as a society as inherently good, would not put those conditions. You're either good or you're bad, and that to me is more, you're good if you're getting what you want, which is not actually goodness. That's more like blackmail or manipulation. It is not, I am a good person or a good God because I'm offering you this, but in return you have to do this. To be a good person, you don't expect things in return. That was a bit of a rant. That went on longer than what I thought it was going to be. Anyway, so that's my first point. My next point is that if you look at the Bible, if you look at what being a Christian means traditionally, and you compare that to an abusive relationship, which I'm sure everyone, Christian, non-Christian, whatever, family violence should not happen. Women are being killed at more than one a week at the moment in Australia, and that just shouldn't happen. Police are being called every 2 minutes. Anyway, that's another video, but if you think about it, the basics of an abusive relationship. So there's coercion. So, Christianity in itself, says that you have to come to church, you have to believe in God, you have to do this and that, or you're going to hell. And for a child or someone who has never sort of had the experience of listening to other people's opinions, listening to people like Richard Dawkins, watching the YouTubers, atheist YouTubers, looking into other religions, that might be a scary thought to them. I even remember sort of when I went away from the church, I found a lot of their sort of things in the Bible and what they were saying quite hypocritical at times and contradictory as well, and it didn't follow what science said. And that was when I started questioning, and then I stopped believing in God altogether, stopped going to church, everything like that. And then I remember there was a stage where I panicked, and I was like, oh no, I have to go to church because I'm going to go to hell, and what if there is a God and I'm wrong, and and I went through that stage, and I sort of sat back and thought, wait, I'm looking at the science, I'm listening to scientists who are, far more smart than me, who have done sometimes decades of research on evolution and things like that, and have a very solid understanding of evolution. And I looked at what they were saying and the science I had to back it up, where the only thing I had was the Bible. And I looked at it critically and I thought, okay, so you want proof. You can't use the Bible as proof. And yeah, I just sort of looked at it like that. And that's when I thought, no, could there be a God? Sure. But the science was telling me there wasn't. And Christianity, so that was the coercion part. Then there's also sort of in family violence relationships, there's the perpetrator thinks that the victim belongs to them. And I've listened to a lot of Christians. I still have listened to Christian YouTubers and ministers, and like my brother is a minister. I listen to him a lot, which was a waste of time, but anyway. And they say for a woman, you belong to God until you marry your husband, then you belong to your husband, and your body is never your own. It's either God's or your husband's. And that there is a big problem with that because, women have their own bodies, have their own minds, know what they want and don't want, and their body is their own. And to continue to encourage this whole women are property of their husband is completely wrong, and it is dangerous. Not all men, not all Christian men are abusive, but what if there is one that is? Because it doesn't matter what religion you are, what race you are, what your finances are. Family violence affects everyone. So there's that to think about. And then, if you grow up in the church and you still go to church when you get married and your husband, marital rape has been it's been illegal for a long time now. But if your husband sexually assaults you and the church is telling you you belong to your husband, then that is going to put a woman in a very difficult situation where she's going to think, wait, but I belong to him, so that's okay for him to do that. Doesn't matter how I feel. Doesn't matter what the law says. There's also so in an abusive relationship, you have the man who expects his needs to come before your own. You need to love him before you love yourself. And that is the same thing the Bible says, or what I was taught anyway at the school I went to. The Bible and my family taught me that you put God above everybody, including yourself. And Then I also looked at what the church expects of you, what the Bible says God expects of you. And then I looked at what people like dictators told the people of their country, like Hitler, for example. So Hitler wanted things his way. I don't think I have to explain the Holocaust to you. I'm sure everyone knows what the Holocaust is. But think about, instead of, if you are a Christian, read your Bible, and instead of wherever it says God says this, or God says that, or God says to do something, put the word Hitler in front of it, and then actually look up proper historical facts of what Hitler said during the Holocaust and see how similar they are. My other problem with Christianity is that it teaches people to hate. It teaches people to oppress others. Homosexuality, of course, is a big one. And if you speak out against that, and obviously, no, not every Christian believes this, and not every church believes this anymore, but if you speak out against that, Christians, some Christian groups say, you know, you're persecuting us, we're oppressed because of you, and that's not the case. You can't be stopped from persecuting a group or a person and then claim persecution yourself. It does not work like that. And, you know, I've been to church services as an adult, and these are what I'm drawing my experiences on, because honestly, as a child, I didn't listen much in church anyway, but I'm sort of drawing it as an adult when I could actually think for myself. I knew how to think critically. I knew what was right and wrong. I could understand better, basically. And as an adult going to church, it was always the church was saying, you know, you should give us your money. If you are a good person, you need to give us your money. And they expected you to give money, and, you know, it didn't matter the finances of a particular person. They still expected you to give money. And that can put people in poverty. That can put people in debt. And yeah, so that's just some of my thoughts. I'm sure there are more. I've been thinking about it a lot these last few days, and I just really wanted to make a video on it. This is just me ranting, basically, because I could not sleep because I was just thinking about it all the time, and I was actually getting quite angry that the church is trying to push their way into government, and I think church and state should be separate, because the government, especially in a place like Australia where we're a democracy, the government has to reflect the people who live there. And the fact is that not everyone is a Christian. So Christian teachings should not mandate the law. The other thing I wanted to point out quickly, especially with marriage equality and equality for LGBTQI people, is I've read the Bible front to back, and I've actually listened to other people, a lot of scientists talk about this as well, and it really got me thinking. And I was thinking about sort of the stories of the Bible, and so as you progress, if you read the Bible from front to back, you see that things change in the Bible, that the Bible progresses to some point, and because it's a book, it has to be finished. It's not some never-ending thing that, they have the Bible and that's it. And you can actually see that in the Bible, especially when you get to the New Testament, that they've progressed from some of the ways from the Old Testament. And I think that it's reasonable to assume, logically speaking, that if they were already starting to progress after the Bible had been written, the world continued to progress. Like in the Bible, it says, you should be killed if you get a divorce, or a woman has to marry her rapist, and there's slavery in the Bible, and that's the other thing. God condoned all of that stuff, and that doesn't sound like a good thing to me. But we've progressed from that, and I'm pretty sure everyone can admit that we're better as a society for it, that Christians believe slavery is wrong and rape is wrong and, child sacrifice is wrong, but that's all in the Bible. But we progress from that, so why would we not continue to progress after the Bible finishes? Logically speaking, that's what happens, and that's sort of what happens with society, is you progress to keep up with the times, to sort of, to continue progressing as a species, basically. So my question is God good? And I have to say no, because the things I've pointed out, that doesn't tell me that that's a good person or a good God or whatever you want to call it. And threatening people with hell, even though, because I don't believe in God, I don't believe there is a hell, but, threatening children with hell if they don't believe in God and they don't go to church, that is wrong. That is horribly manipulative, and because children are still learning, and if that's what they've been exposed to, that's what they believe. And to me, that's child abuse, to scare a child into believing something. Anyway, sorry for the rant. Let me know what you think. And there's a few really good atheist YouTubers. I watch Rachel Oates, Jacqueline Glenn, Cosmic Skeptic. I will put their links in the description below. And thanks for listening to me rant. And please, if you want to hear me talk more about atheism, which next time it will be much more organised, this is just a rant to get it out of my brain so I can sleep. If you want to hear more on my views on Christianity and the church, like and subscribe and put a comment down below what you think of Christianity or, religious extremists. And I'll see you guys next time.